guys, we're gonna start with the warm-up today. So, because we are not gonna be using equipment today, not even a skipping rope, let's start just jogging on the spot. So we are gonna be carrying the first exercise of this warm-up in a 3-minute series. So, we're gonna be doing constantly 10 seconds of jogging on the spot with different exercises that I'm gonna be telling you. So it's 10 seconds jogging on the spot, 10-second exercise, 10 seconds jogging on the spot, 10-second exercise, and so on until we finish all the exercises. In total, I've got 6 different exercises, so it's gonna take us about 3 minutes, right? So, if you have a skipping rope, it could be ideal if you could start skipping for 5 minutes before we start doing this exercise. If you prefer going for a run, if you can have enough space in your house where you can jog, or one of your going outs of that day, you decide to jog around the block, you can jog for 5-10 minutes, the same as with skipping rope, 5-10 minutes, and after we start doing this exercise. This exercise, I just want to warm up. I don't want to get any injury with you, because probably we haven't done much in the last few weeks. I'm gonna start from the feet to the head with exercises that I don't want much strain in your muscles. So I really want you to take it easy, right? So I don't want any injury now. I just want you to warm up. So the second part of the video that the pod is going to start, you are ready for delivering it without any injury, if that's alright. Okay. So once you start jogging, we're gonna start jogging just for 10 seconds. The first exercise that we are gonna do, simple, is gonna be star jump. So star jump, touch the floor, make a nice start. That's for 10 seconds. After the 10 seconds, just go back to jog for another 10 seconds. Next exercise, we're going to be doing the squat jump. Keep jogging on the spot now for another 10 seconds before we have the next exercise. It's going to be mountain climbers. Back to jog. Now I want you to, as fast as you can, tap the floor. I don't want this time high knees. I just want you to tap the floor as fast as you can for 10 seconds. Go. Back to jog for another 10 seconds. Next exercise, we're going to raise our knees as high as we can for 10 seconds. Go back to jog. We're going to go again to the floor. We're going to do squat throws, 10 seconds. To jog. We have the last 2 exercises, guys. Right, this time we are going to raise our knees high, same as before, but we are going to start throwing punches, lead and backhand. 10 seconds, go. Back to jog. Last exercise. All you will love me, all you will love Jen, because these are burpees. There you go. Standard burpees this time, so we don't do press up. we finish with 10 seconds of jogging. And that's it for the first exercise, guys. Fantastic, guys. I hope you are still with us. I'm sorry I lied a bit in the previous exercise. There were 9 different exercises instead of 6, I think I said. There were 9, but I thought, just do them. Right, the second part of the warm-up, I'm gonna be focusing in the lower body, so we are gonna start with some footwork. Footwork, we are gonna keep it very simple. I just want you to move forward and move backwards, because it's a warm-up, it's not a proper class. I just want you to apply the knowledge that you already have, so I don't want anything fancy like pivoting or moving sideways. I just want movement forward, movement backwards, and that's it. Remember always to keep the gap in between your legs, always moving the foot that is in front of the direction of the movement. So if we are going forward, the foot that stays forward moves first. If we are going backwards, the foot that moves first is the one that stays at the back, right? So this is gonna be just 1 minute in a southpaw stance, 1 minute in an orthodox stance. Remember, regardless of which is your stance, we are gonna do 2. So in total, 2 minutes. What I'm looking for, you get into your stance, right? You can start slow, forward, backward, forward 2 steps, backward 2 steps, forward, backward, 2 steps, 2 steps, 2 steps, 2 steps. Same if you are facing me. Remember, we keep the gap in between our legs, forward, backwards, forward 2 steps, backward 2 steps, and keep going, right? That is what I'm looking for. I go sideways again. So what I want you to do for this minute that we are doing in each stance is snap those steps, because it's a warm-up, right? So what I want you to do is fast movement. Check yourself, guys. Once you finish the first minute, swap the stance. It's gonna be a bit complicated, regardless of what stance you've started. Now we're gonna swap the stance. Same, stepping forward and backwards. You can start slow, like I'm doing. Eventually, when you feel confident, start snapping those steps. And that's it for the 5th movement. 1 minute in each stance, 2 minutes in total, right? And do some exercises of calves. Hands down, as you reach high, as you go on your toes, and down. On your toes, and down. On your toes, and down. We're gonna do this exercise for a minute. On your toes, and down. So on for just 1 minute. Next exercise, we're gonna do boxing squats. Again, like when we did the floor exercise, we are gonna do 2 sets, 1 minute in your natural stance. In my case, it's an orthodox. 1 minute in a southpaw or in the opposite stance. So get into your boxing stance. We go into squat, and as we come up, we're gonna do a lead and a backhand, back to stance, down. I don't mind how many times you do it. I want you to do it for 1 minute. Remember, when we are squatting, the back knee goes 90 degrees onto the side. The backhand, we pivot the back foot. For 1 minute. After the minute, we swap the stance. Again, down, lead, backhand. A bit more tricky because it's not our natural stance. For 1 minute. Next exercise, we're gonna be doing lunges. So, stay in your stance, we're gonna step forward in the ball of your foot, like when we are throwing a lead and a backhand to the body that we train in class. So, gonna lunge. Ball of our feet lead, backhand, and back, and back, and back, and back. We're gonna do it for 30 seconds only this time, because we're gonna swap stance. We're gonna do the same in the opposite stance. And when you finish this minute of the exercise, just take a minute or a couple of minutes of rest, and we go to the upper body. Now we are going to be focusing in the core, so we all are going to the floor. We are going to do some other exercises. Lay on your back, now place our arms on the side of our bum. We are going to raise our legs 90 degrees in the air. Now, as we drop the legs, without touching the floor, we put it straight and back into 90 degrees. Out, and back to 90 degrees. We do this movement for 30 seconds. The set of abs that we are doing at the minute, they're gonna be without resting. So after finishing this exercise, we go straight onto the second exercise. So we've done 30 seconds this exercise. It's quite easy for those of you who have been attending classes, but it's a good warm-up. Once you finish the 30 seconds, in the same shape, with the feet in the floor, hands on your thighs, aim for your knees. Hold a second at the top and down. Who's holding a second at the top and down. After 30 seconds, we are going to move. We are going to be on our side. So, go on your side. Then when you're resting, grab your hands together. Your bodies, I want them straight. I'm gonna face the camera in a minute. Straight, and we'll raise our hips off the floor. We're holding for a second and down. So you. After 30 seconds, you change side. Or sideways. After 30 seconds, I'm going to hold the V. Hold the V for just 10-15 seconds before going on to 20 V sit-ups. And go. If you're a student who is aiming for the grade, remember, we request that you twist at the top. So, we come V, twist. Brilliant. When we finish, we go in the floor again, and the last exercise for 30 seconds, we're going to be doing flutters. So, hands on your side, legs straight, and as fast as you can for 30 seconds. And that's all for the core exercises, guys.
Hi guys, and thank you very much for taking the time to watch our video, our combined video. So thank you to Alberto, and thank you to Jen, who's going to be following on from this. But it's been a while since we've run any classes, so the intention of this video is to just go through some of the basics that we've covered already and put them into a combination so that we can work together either on a bag, and if you have a bag or you're lucky to have a bag at home, everything that we're doing today as far as combinations are concerned is doable bag-wise. You're also able to achieve the same effect by just standing and throwing combinations and just working that through, let's say, 4 rounds worth of exercises. Try and set yourself a reasonable time as well. We're working on the basis of 4 3-minute rounds. But let's start off with the basics, and that is the boxing stance. And one of the things that we always teach people, of course, in our boxing classes is that whatever combination you throw, Your boxing stance, the true boxing stance, is the right position to be in at the end of a combination, the beginning of a fight, and you return to this during the course of a fight or an exercise as you progress. Now when you are training then, we always make sure that we return to the true boxing stance. To do this, we have what we refer to as a lead and a backhand, and we'll explain that to you. Some of you will know this already. Some of you that are new to this and you're watching this video for the first time, you'll benefit from this as well. If you are right-handed, then I want you to take your right foot back and then out to the side. Now, if you are left-handed, of course, then you're going to take the opposite foot out. So right foot back to the outside, and think about using a small ball and ask yourself if you can roll the ball between your legs as you're facing your opponent. That gives you enough stability in your stance. You'll also notice that my back heel is just off the floor. It's not lying flat, it's off the floor. So we're in this position here. Front foot is facing either 12 o'clock or just partially beyond 12 o'clock. Your back foot is at 2 o'clock. So heel off the floor in this position, and soft knees, not rigid knees, but just nice and soft and relaxed. Then what I want you to do is to consider your left shoulder, if you're right-handed, to be your lead shoulder. Of course, if you're left-handed, it will be the opposite way around. To work on that basis, you take your lead shoulder forward, and I want you to bring your hands to your ears, touch your ears or grab hold of your earlobes, and then just drop your hands down. That is the basic stance, and then bring your chin down slightly so you're looking forward towards your opponent. Now your lead hand, there are different views on this from a coaching perspective, but if you're viewing your opponent almost as if you're sighting a rifle through your lead hand using the top of the hand towards their face, and that is the basic stance. You'll also notice that my elbows are tucked in. My hand is not touching my face, it's just to one side of my face. It gives me the opportunity then to parry or absorb a blow rather than take the blow directly into my face. So that is the basic boxing stance. The boxing stance, the true boxing stance, facing our opponent, we're going to talk about the lead. So the lead, of course, is your lead hand. Your shoulder is forward, your left shoulder is forward, your lead is your left hand in the case of a orthodox boxer, and if you're a southpaw, then your lead is your right hand. We go into our boxing stance again as we did before, and when we throw our lead out to our opponent, the backhand stays up the whole time. One of the things that we constantly emphasize in boxing is your backhand stays in this position at all times. As you throw the lead, your elbow continues to point towards the floor until the last point at which you are making contact with your opponent. So again, lead position like this, you bring your lead out, your elbow stays pointing towards the floor, and you point, or you rotate just at the point at which you make contact. So it looks like this. And you can slow that right down if you want to just get yourself back into the swing of this. Just practice that motion on the lead. So it's this. Again, in our boxing stance, to throw our backhand in this position here, so we've already thrown our lead, we would hope. So the backhand, as you bring the backhand forward, again, you keep your elbow pointing towards the floor, but you actually pivot off your back foot as you're travelling towards your opponent. So again, pivot off the back foot towards your opponent and back into your boxing stance. Pivot, back into your boxing stance. So the combo with the 1-2 would be lead, backhand, back to the boxing stance. Lead, backhand, back to your boxing stance. So again, in a boxing stance, we're now going to throw a body hook. Now it's not what we would refer to or understand as a classic hook in boxing, but the body hook looks like this. From this position, the first thing you're going to do is transfer your weight over your lead leg. That's really important because you're carrying your weight forward onto the punch. Then the punch comes from the face and downwards towards your opponent's body, and then back to your boxing stance. Two additional things we need to bear in mind: what's happening with our feet here. So as we transfer our weight forward and we throw the punch, we drop our back heel to the floor, we lift our lead heel, and we pivot towards our opponent. You'll also notice that when we hit the body, our palm is facing the ceiling. What we're aiming to do is to tuck underneath that rib towards the liver. That's the power of the body hook. You see an example of somebody that did this beautifully, of course, was Ricky Hatton. It was one of his killer punches in fights. So, transfer the weight, body hook, back heel down, pivot off the lead foot, back into the boxing stance. Hi again everybody. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a front slip and a back slip, and then we're going to follow that with a weave forward and a weave back. So a weave in and a weave out. Now the way to remember this is to think about, first of all, slipping forward and the position your body is going to be in, and then slipping backward, because those two positions are very important in the weave. So first of all, a slip forward. We imagine our opponent is throwing their lead towards us, and let's imagine that this boxer is an orthodox boxer. They're throwing their lead in, it's their left. So we're going to slip out of the way of that by transferring our weight onto our lead leg and slipping off centre. Then again, slip off the centre line and then come back again. Slip out of the way of the shot and then back again. Back slip, what we're going to do here is we're going to take the slip backwards again from the vertical out of the way of a shot. From the vertical out of the way of a shot. And then we can combine these into a weave, which would look essentially like this from the side. We slip forward as we've just instructed, we drop down, but we're keeping our body vertical as much as possible. We're not leaning forward here. Leaning forward in a fight leaves you susceptible to an uppercut. So we slip forward, transferring the weight over our lead leg, we weave out, then we're in the back slip position as you can see, and then back to our boxing stance. Slip forward, drop, weave to the back into our boxing stance. And from the front it looks like this. Slip forward, drop, weave out into our boxing stance. And the other option is to slip backwards and to drop and to weave forwards and then into our boxing stance. Slip backwards, drop, weave forward into our boxing stance. So today, combination one, again into our boxing stance, nice loose legs. We're going to go lead, backhand, body hook. Back to our boxing stance. Lead, backhand, body hook. Back to our boxing stance. Onto the bag, lead, backhand, body hook. Back to our boxing stance. Lead, backhand, body hook. Like so. And we're going to be running that for 3 solid minutes. Start to increase the speed once you feel comfortable about the combination. Into our boxing stance, combination number 2 that I want us to work on today is, from the boxing stance, slip forward, transfer the weight over the lead leg. From the side, what I'm doing is as I'm transferring the weight forward, I am not taking my chest beyond my knee. That way I'm staying stable, I'm keeping my centre of gravity under control. Slip forward, body hook, weave out, straight backhand. So from the front, slip forward, body hook, weave out, straight backhand. Notice that when I've thrown the hook, I slip forward, I throw the hook. Before I weave out, I bring my hand back to my face to protect myself, then come in with the backhand, then back into the boxing stance. On the back, lead, on the back, slip forward, body hook, weave out, straight backhand. And again, slip forward, body hook, weave out, straight backhand, back into position. Right guys, combination number 3. And again, remember you're running these for 3 solid minutes, so you need to get yourself a decent method of timing, or get somebody to time for you. So we're going to go into our boxing stance again. Remember, loose knees, as was described before. We're going to go lead, we're going to go backhand. Now as we're throwing the backhand, you'll notice that I'm bringing my lead hand back to my face. And now what we're going to do is we're going to manoeuvre out of the way of a counter. And as we pull our backhand back towards our face, we step to the side, keeping our lead hand up, and then we throw what we call an overhand backhand. Palm is facing towards your right, and then back to the boxing stance. So again, lead, backhand, step, overhand backhand, back into the boxing stance. Because your partner, your opponent, will then be hopefully turning to face you. Make sure that you're standing in this position, in the standard boxing stance, facing your opponent in a nice stable position. On the back, it would look like this. Lead, backhand, step to the side, overhand backhand, back into the boxing stance. And once again, lead, backhand. Step to the side, overhand, backhand. Back to position. With the overhand backhand, when you throw it, the punch comes from your face. You're coming out and over the arm of your opponent towards the face. The palm is facing outwards, and you are striking down from the top of the jaw. Look at my back foot. See how I've pivoted in that motion. When we've completed, back to the boxing stance. Combination number 4 is the one that we all love, because it's the one that absolutely exhausts us. And another good reason why we need to warm up properly before we go through these exercises. But we're now going to do a lead or a jab to the body, followed by a backhand. Now, standing face on again in our standard boxing stance, we're going to be further away from our opponent. Typically our opponent would be roughly at this range. That's what we're aiming for. If we're beyond range of our opponent, what we're aiming to do is to drop down with a lead to the body. The punch again comes from our face, but we drop right down, keeping our back again as vertical as possible, trying not to lean because we're avoiding the uppercut. We drop down into this position here with a lead, and then we follow up with a backhand. We pivot off our back foot and then back into our boxing stance. Lead to the body, backhand, back to the boxing stance. Now, if you watch us from the side, as we move forward, we do so on the ball of our foot, not our heel. Our back heel is still off the floor at this point, so this is the range where we're moving from. Typically, we would be like this, so we take a step back, we drop into the punch. See, my back is not completely vertical because it's not possible, but it's certainly not in a lean, and my chest is beyond my lead leg. Backhand, back to the boxing stance. So again, watch, lead foot, carry through on the ball of the foot. 1, 2, back up. Right guys, so that's the end of those combinations. So that's 4 combinations. And remember that each of those is 3 solid minutes. Make sure you get that timed, or you time it yourself with something that's going to be suitable and giving you an alarm at the end of the 3 minutes section. Also, bear in mind that you need to warm up. The warm-up side of this is very important, particularly when you're dropping into a body lead and then backhand, because you're going to put a lot of strain on these elements of your leg, particularly the adductors and the abductors and into the groin area. So make sure you're nice and warm. Also, if you're going to use these combos on a bag, you must wear wraps. Now, our preference is that you wear gloves as well. So if you have boxing gloves at home, and pretty much people that have bags will have boxing gloves as well. We certainly hope you would. But wraps and gloves is our recommendation for work with the bags. And then once we've finished these combos, and they are 3 minutes long, you're going to be tired. You're going to need a warm down, which will be covered by Jen in the next section.
Okay guys, so that was a really challenging warm-up from Alberto, as ever. Some fantastic combinations that we have used in class before, but after all of that, you really will need to stretch and relax those muscles so you don't ache quite so much the next day. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to go down into pigeon pose. We're going to go down to the floor, and we're going to put one leg across your body and drop back, and then bring your arms on the inside of your knee and stretch down. And this, guys, stretches the outer part of your leg. Okay, and you need to hold that for about 30 seconds, and then change and take the other leg across, drop into there, reach your arms forward and go over onto the inside of your knee again. Okay, hold that for 30 seconds, and then we're going to come up, guys, onto our fours. And when we're on our fours, we're going to arch down, and then we're going to raise our body up to arch up. Okay, hold that for about 10-15 seconds. Down again, and again, arch up. You can do that a couple of times, holding that for about 10-15 seconds. And then from there, we're going to do a nice Achilles stretch. So we'll cross our legs over at the back. We go up into plank and then drop back so that the foot closest to the floor, the heel hits the floor. If you can't quite get your heel to the floor, walk your hands in so your heel is touching the floor. Okay? So when you've held that for about 30 seconds, swap legs, and back. And again, if your foot isn't on the floor, walk yourself up. Just for 30 seconds and bring that in. From there, uncross your legs, walk yourself up, staying down, take your body over to this side and hold. And then come to the middle and across and hold. And then back to the middle and then slowly come up. As you come up, take your shoulders back so you're making a W shape. Squeeze those shoulders back as tight as you can. Opening those shoulders from hunching forward in your boxing stance. Hold that again 30 to 60 seconds. And then from there, take one arm across your body, making sure that your hips stay forward and the only thing you're rotating there is your shoulder cuff. Okay? And then from there we're going to do a nice tricep. Same arm, keeping your elbow in between your head, stretch down between your shoulder blades. If you can, grab your fingers and pull. If you can't, use this hand on this side and drive down. When you've done that for 30 seconds, swap hands, take it across, again, keeping your hips forward. It's just your shoulder and your arm that's going across the body. And then from there, guys, take that into a tricep, driving that down between your shoulder blades. Okay. And then from there, guys, take your arms up, bringing them down and across, and then up, and then we're going to drop to the floor, nice and relaxed, just drop, and then slowly unlock that spine, nice and slowly, no rush, and then take your shoulders back, 2 and 3, and forward, 2 and 3. Then give yourselves a brilliant round of applause, definitely a tap on the back, because that is one amazing workout. Well done, guys.